and they're not helping them. We're not trying to help people that have mental illness. We're enabling them and we're celebrating them. And then people that are weak-minded, they say, well, I could be a celebrity like that and be looked upon because I don't feel good about myself, or I feel low self-esteem, or I'm questioning who I am as a person. So if I do what they're doing, I'm probably going to be recognized and find significance in that. And that's terrible. That's terrible. You're not being guided to live a fulfilling, purpose-driven life where you're comfortable in your own skin. Everybody has stress. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody has discomforts. And they all have their little triggering things. In trading, what you don't realize is you're asking to be part of a culture and a lifestyle that is going to be perpetual stress. You're inviting yourself to be a part of a industry that is predominantly stress-inducing. Now, I'm not going to tell you that this is going to fix everybody, because it's not. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not telling you how you should live your life and avoid seeing a professional. If you feel like you need to see a professional or see a guidance counselor or some kind of a medical professional, let's put it that way, then do it. But don't take whatever opinion they give you. Get a second opinion. For me, I've always had white coat syndrome. White coat syndrome is I don't trust these fucking doctors. And now after 2020, I sure as fuck don't trust these people. So it's going to take something like it just recently happened where I thought I was having a heart attack. That's what took me to the emergency room. Something short of me losing my life or feeling I'm going to lose my life. And it wasn't anxious. Like I wasn't anxious like I was when I was a younger man. But I knew enough what I was feeling. That was not normal. So because I'm in my 50s, let's go get it checked out. And EKG, CAT scan, blood work, everything came back perfect. Like I have the numbers of a 20-year-old. But I'm also aware that some of you are not going to correct the things like I was able to correct it when I was a little bit younger. If I would have never made these changes that I'm going to cover now, I'm not so certain that my health would be where it is today. I wouldn't be certain that my health of my heart, my organs would be as they are. My blood work, like you have no idea how much stress has an effect on your personal body. And you can make lots of money trading, but you could be extremely unhealthy while making lots of money. And what do you get by that? What's the point of having all that money, building up all this worth, and it shortens your lifespan? Well, I don't care, dude. I'm going to live my life right now. You can't take it with you. Yeah, but the word says, why die before the time? Why invite that end result or deteriorate your health so that way, as you're building this wealth up, you're making it impossible for you to go out there and live and have a fruitful, bountiful life with it. What's the purpose? Why make all this money if you're not going to be healthy enough to endure, longer lifetime spending and enjoying and blessing other people with it? What's the point of that? It's pointless. So to have a long, profitable, affluent lifestyle that is a blessing to both you and the people that are around you love and support, your first measure of wealth is your health. And think about how it's been for the last 4 years. Has it been stressful for you? I probably would venture to say it's probably about 65%, if not more, that it's been very stressful. All the things that we've been told we can and can't do. You can't go to funerals. You can't see your loved ones in the hospital. You can't work unless you receive this little thing in your arm ticket. That's all priming for what's about to come. That's all stuff that's leading up to that. And then if you don't have faith in what is on the other side of that stuff, it could be very scary. But in trading, every single day, you are throwing yourself in the furnace. This pressure cooker of, I don't know what's going to happen, and if I'm wrong, I'm losing money. Contrast that with, I got to get up, got to drive, spend my gas money, that it's not a tax deduction for me. I got to drive to my job and get paid. The most I can get paid is what I agreed to, so I prostitute my time. And I don't know what workload's waiting for me. I don't know if someone called out now, I have to do their work and mine. Carl's going to be over here and wanting to know what the hell I'm doing, and minding his business is what he should be doing, but he's not. He's stressing me out. All these things are going to compound. But you're not going to make any more money if the workload is increased for that day. You're not getting overtime because they place more workload on you that day. So you have a expected level of stress to some degree when you have your job. But in trading, you have a total different level of stress. And now you can go to work basically and fuck off and spend time on your computer, listening to me, watching my videos, steal from the boss, which is what you should not be doing, and get through the day bare minimum, low output, low performance, and still not get caught, not get fired, and get away with it. You cannot pull that Mickey Mouse shit off in trading. You have to be on point. You have to be aware of what the risks are. You have to keep these risks measured appropriately for your equity and your skill set and your ability. And if you try to spread your wings too far and outside the scope of what your capabilities are, you are asking, and you should not be surprised by the level of stress that you're feeling. And it's a direct relationship to what you try to put on yourself prematurely. And a lot of that comes in the early stages of your development because you're in a rush to make money. And I'm trying to cultivate the mindset of students and my children too, is that there's plenty of money out there waiting. There's plenty of money out there. And when it's no longer about money, and it's about living a principle-oriented life and trading a principle-oriented career, that means you're doing things by the number, not by the stimuli of having the monetary reward. Making money is fun, don't get me wrong. But that's not all of it. Perfect example, I could be making millions of dollars giving all of this information I'm giving out, live streaming, that could be a mentorship. I'm never doing that again. And I'm turning my nose up against millions of dollars because money doesn't make me happy. Money doesn't fill that hole in my heart and my body and my mind and spirit that I get when I help other people, when I'm teaching other people, when I'm investing my time, which I can't get back, I'm pouring it into all of you because I want you to have the lifestyle that I have. Even if you have half of what I have, a quarter of it, or just better than you're at right now, that's a blessing. But it's going to come with stress. And you've already been aware of what stress is in the world. But if you've never traded with real money or had a large loss in trading, you have no idea what anxiety and pressure is. Because if you keep introducing yourself to this stressful environment, not knowing how to engage it, not knowing how to wrestle your intrusive thoughts, you'll fall victim to things that could otherwise be controlled. Have you ever watched the market either in a trade or maybe it's not, let's keep it a broad brush example. Have you ever been in an environment where you had an overwhelming, out of the blue, sudden sense of impending doom where you feel like you can't catch your breath? Your heart starts palpitating. I mean, it's quickly beating and you don't know why it's happening. And then you start thinking about how you feel scared all of a sudden for no known reason that you're aware of. And then you feel like you can't catch your breath. And then because you're breathing faster and your heart's beating, you might feel like you're seeing stars, You feel a little bit dizzy. And you might feel like you want to either shit yourself, for lack of a better word, or pass out, or throw up. And for me, that's how it used to be when I was a younger man. I was like, what the hell's going on here? And as I felt that, if I was in a public environment, like at the time when I was working as a young man married to my first wife, I had to have a job back then. I was, going to school, learning computer programming, and then I was working a job. And I had very little time for her. And I knew that was waning on our relationship. And we were too young to have a relationship like that. And we grew apart. But I was stressing about the whole time. And I was worried about her leaving. I was worried about not being successful in what I was learning. And I couldn't convince her to just wait. Trust me, I'm not going to be lazy. I'm not going to be a bum. I'm not going to be laying around doing dumb shit. I'm going to show us a lifestyle that you can't even imagine. I know it's coming, but you just got to give me the time to grow to it. She wasn't willing to do that. So I would have anxiety attacks. And when she separated, the first time with me, because we separated several times, but the first time, my body shut down. Like I was in full-blown panic because I couldn't cope without being in a relationship with her. I was codependent to her. I've made my whole being as Michael as her husband. And that's all I was. And that's not healthy. That's not good for someone. And if you're in a relationship where that's how you view yourself, that's not your intended purpose. There has to be something outside of just that. Otherwise, it's not healthy, and you'll never be fulfilled. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be fulfilled by having a strong connection to your spouse, but if that's all it is, like that's not enough. It's never going to be enough, because you got to be a mother, a father. You know, you have to have friends. You have to have interactions outside of the house. It's not natural to not be social. We're social beings. But if you can agree with me, take a step back and look at what social media does. It's divisive. It keeps us in tribes. This tribe against that tribe. This race against that race. This sex against that sex. Now we don't know what sex is what now, because they're blending and blurring the lines. So it's constantly causing chaos. And it's not a surprise why people are losing their fucking minds, because it's stressful. We don't even know who we are as a person anymore, as a people. And now you're asking these individuals that are wrestling with all these problems, these wrestling matches internally, who they are and what their identity is. Now they're going to go in here and compete against the smartest people in the world in the financial markets. And they get the case of the ass when they don't find success right away. This should have worked for me. Why? What did you do to earn it? What have you worked for? What have you done to cultivate and shape your mind with the right mindset so that way you can succeed? Or are you going to tap out to the pressures and the stress it's going to bring on you? Because it's going to bring stress. Every single time you go into the marketplace, you're inviting that opportunity to bring stress on. If you lose money, that's not a fun thing. I've never looked at it and said, man, that was the fastest $50,000. What the hell? Let's do it again. It's not what happens. That's not what happens. You're like, shit. I wish I wouldn't have done that. It would have been better if I would have cut the trade sooner, or if I would have cut half the trade off. It wouldn't have been as impactful as it was here. And you go back through the process of knowing when you were getting that inclination while you were in the trade. That was your first indications that something ain't right. But what did you do? I'm going to be stubborn. I'm right. It's not about being right. It's about understanding what it's doing. It's giving you feedback. Price is telling you something. But if you hide away from it, what will happen is your breathing will start to increase. Okay? And that elevated rhythm of breath, more breaths than 10 or 11 per minute, that is going to stimulate adrenaline. Once adrenaline enters your body, which is a normal response, don't ever think that you getting an adrenaline dump because you got scared or startled for a moment, that's a scary feeling. But when it first happens and you don't expect it, it is a little unnerving. You're like, why do I feel like I'm racing, but I'm sitting still? Like, I feel like I got to do something. I got to run. I got to take care of something. I got to escape this moment right here. And when I used to work, that's what I would do. I would tell my supervisor, or I would tell whoever I was working with, or I would just get up and go to the bathroom. And I would try to calm myself down by splashing cold water on my face. That only works to some degree, and that's it. But I wasn't able to understand what I was doing to myself inside. I was feeding that anxiety. I was feeding it toxic thoughts. And what if, and what if, and what if I'm dying? What if this is a heart attack? What if it's a stroke? And I'm in there by myself in a prison of my own mind, literally tormenting myself with ignorance, not knowing what I was feeling was absolutely normal. Our bodies were created to have a fight or flight response to stress or danger. We have an anatomic nervous system that is behind the scenes. It's running your body. The breathing, the exhale and the inhale, you're not consciously thinking about breathing. It just happens. Your body knows what to do. But have you ever had a moment where you feel like you don't know how to breathe anymore, like I was mentioning earlier in the stream? My wife told me this the other day. She was like, I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like I forgot how to breathe. Like I got to breathe deeper. I said, okay, I know what you're describing. What are you anxious about? She said, how'd you know? I said, because that only happens by a fearful triggering thought. You had an intrusive thought into your mind, and you're scared about that, and you're not talking about it to release it. You're not reminding yourself there's no emergency. So your body is naturally responding to what you're fearfully thinking as an internal loop going through your mind, constantly telling yourself that something bad's about to happen. We allowed our nieces to move into our home, and the older one has gone away to college. She's living on campus, and she was fearful about something that was not likely to happen, but she was fearful of it because she's no longer with us and she's on her own. And she had a little bit of an anxiety attack and she couldn't catch her breath. And I walked her through. I said, listen, this is what you do, okay? If you ever feel discombobulated, and if you are in public setting, if you're around people, quietly and politely excuse yourself. Go to the restroom, okay? If you have the benefit of having your own office space or you're not around other people, then you don't have to worry about this. But the first thing you do is recognize that what you're feeling is just stress. That's all it is. And the first thing you have to do audibly is say, look around, pan around where you're at, and tell yourself out loud, there is no emergency. There is no emergency, and I'm not in any danger. I'm at home in myself right now. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be at, and there is no emergency. What I'm feeling is uncertainty about something I absolutely have no control over. So I do have control over how I'm going to respond to it, and I'm choosing not to be fearful of it. It sounds wooden, it sounds artificial, but you need to tell yourself that, because when your subconscious mind hears you say that, that's the first immediate response to activating your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part that allows you to rest and digest. The anatomic nervous system is divided into two of them. Okay, you have your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is what you have when you go into a fight or flight response, when your heart rate increases, when your breathing increases, when your pupils dilate. They dilate because your body was created to allow more information in, because you're in, I need to protect myself or I'm going to likely die. That's what God has given you, whether you want to acknowledge his existence or not. You can turn off the stream if that bothers you. I don't care. But you were created to have this mechanism, and it runs behind the scene anatomically. That means it's going to do what it's going to do regardless of whether you're aware of it or not. And because stress is not something that everybody expects to create physical symptoms the first time, it's a little scary. And when you're trading or you're in stressful environments, you're constantly being bombarded with stimuli that's most likely going to trigger these things happening. So if you've noticed that your heart is beating faster than it should, or what you're used to seeing it feel, beating in your chest, maybe you ever had it beating in your ear, you ever hear your heartbeat? It's a little scary first time it happens. Like, what's going on? And you start breathing heavier, deeper than you need to. If you're breathing and if your chest is rising when you're breathing, you're hyperventilating. That means you're taking in too much air and likely too fast. And you're likely blowing off your CO2. So what that does is it over-oxygenates your body's bloodstream. And when that's pumping adrenaline into your bloodstream, which is a natural response because your body's designed to release adrenaline, and that's like rocket fuel. Okay, it is designed for your heart to increase its pace, so that way it doesn't have to wait to catch up. Because if you have to run or fight, you're going to need blood in those muscles to defend yourself or fight or run away from the danger. So it's already kicking up the engine, which is your heart, to keep pumping new blood to these muscles that's going to be required to perform. And your body is triggering your lungs to breathe in more oxygen, because you're going to be burning more oxygen as you fight or run away from the danger. But what happens when you're sitting still and you're feeling all these things? You're like a Lamborghini sitting in park with the engine running, and someone's got their foot on the gas pedal to the floor, sitting there. How long do you think that's going to be good for the engine if that's going on? Not long. But that's why you feel like, I got to go, I got to run, I got to do something. Because that's what you're designed to do. Because you've told yourself internally that there's an emergency, there's a danger here. And it was triggered by some intrusive thought that has become believed by you that it's a danger. Some kind of scary what if thinking. What if I lose money? What if this trade jumps back and hits my stop loss? What if the market crashes and gaps through my trade? What happens if my wife leaves me? What happens if I get fired? What happens if I don't get the promotion and Carl gets it? You know, all these things. You don't have control over every outcome, and you don't have control over the outcome of your next trade. The only thing you have control over is how you feel and perform and how you react. Because once you place yourself in that trade, you have given all of the outcome and permission to take or add to your account to the marketplace. You've lost all control over your equity. Because that stop loss might do its job if the market does trade to it in a manner that's normal delivery. But what happens if there's an attack somewhere and the market gaps down 150 handles? You don't think that can happen? You don't think it can happen just like that? Because it can. That's why I'm telling you, that's why I'm not trading Forex. That's why I felt second guessing about going in and doing, because I've already said I don't want to be in Forex. And I feel like if I talk about Forex, I'm encouraging it when I know what's about to come is not good. So just take my word for it. The things I'm teaching when I'm talking over NASDAQ, unless it's something specific to Forex, I'll tell you. Otherwise, it's both asset classes. I don't know how to say it better than I want to be responsible as a mentor. And I know that's not going to be liked by people that follow me because they're just simply Forex traders. I'm okay. If you want to end our relationship between teacher and student because of that, you can get a taste of the ass over that. You're welcome to do that. It's not going to change who I am. It's not going to make me angry. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But I got to be comfortable in my own skin. And I've warned people about being in Forex for a number of years. And look how it's been trading. It's just, ugh. It's not the same as the indices. It's not the same as commodity markets. That's why I went back to them. I'm comfortable there. Okay, I know that there's a big shakeup coming. Something massive is coming. It's going to rock the financial markets. I want to be trading markets that are where I started. I have the most experience with. I believe in these markets, and currencies are going to be affected because there's going to be a change in the monetary system globally. And I don't know how else to say it other than that. Okay, but if you ever had those sensations where you have this quickening of breathing, heart palpitations when it's beating real aggressive and fast, you feel sick to your stomach, you feel like you're going to pass out, you feel dizzy, you feel like you're going to mess yourself, and how embarrassing would that be, right? And that's what I would tell myself. I'm like, I'm at work. I'm around all these people that I work around. How embarrassing if I shit myself in front of people. What happens if I throw up or pass out in front of them? How embarrassing would that be? Not that this is potentially a medical emergency. I could be dying. I didn't think that initially. I was embarrassed about if I lost control of my bowels, if I had lost control of what I had in my stomach and threw up in front of someone or passed out. I've never been drunk before. I've never drank alcohol. I've never done drugs before. So I don't take any kind of stimulant. I don't take any kind of mind-altering thing. And I don't drink coffee. I don't drink soda. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't do any of those things. And you might do those things recreationally, and I'm not going to judge you for it. But I will say that if you're drinking things that are caffeinated and you're trading, you're greatly increasing the likelihood of you having unnecessary levels of stress. And what will happen is you'll get accustomed to it, okay? And high blood pressure, you don't necessarily feel it in the early stages of it. Like stage 1 hypertension, you generally don't feel that. Stage 2, you might, maybe not. But that is really hard on your body. And if you're constantly giving yourself that Monday through Friday, every single day, you can eat well. You can exercise. You could avoid all these drugs and alcohol and do all those things. But guess what you're doing? You're tearing up your body because you're in a heightened state of panic, fight or flight. You're in war mode. If you are feeling heart palpitations when you're trading, your chances are you're over leveraging or you're not trading with a model that you trust and you're just chasing price. If you're all hopped up on goofballs, chances are if you took your blood pressure, it's probably sky high. Don't believe me? Get yourself one on Amazon. It's real simple. Just get it, plug it in, put the batteries in it, put your arm up on the table, and let it do it. Do your blood pressure when you first wake up in the morning, and then do it right when you started trading. Do it. And you're going to find something that's going on that's a physiological response that you weren't aware of. And you're constantly putting yourself in that state of stressful thinking, stressful outcomes being measured as, I got to be right or wrong. I got to be profitable or protect what I have. I don't want to lose more money. I don't want to lose money. And you're looking at a chart fluctuating up and down, and chances are you have no idea what you're doing. You have no logic behind why you're watching those charts. You're hoping and praying, and that's not a model. That's not a model. But you see people out there trying to do that all the time, and you have probably been doing that too. And it's not comfortable, is it? Not knowing what you're doing. It's scary. So what happens when you start feeling that? How can you combat that? How can you wrestle with it? If it's not in trading, it just happens to be in any other given time. Because if you probably had an anxiety attack or experienced these things before, it's amazing if nothing continues to scare you. Usually about 10 to 15 minutes later, you're fine. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, what was that? It's anxiety. You got to the point where adrenaline was released in your bloodstream, which is a natural thing. That's a natural thing. You should be thankful that you're given that ability because it enables you to be stronger, faster, more responsive and reactive to dangers. But how do you get back to a regulated nervous system where you're comfortable, where you can digest food and rest? Because if you're anxious, you can't sleep. When you're anxious, your food doesn't digest well. That's why you have a nervous stomach. You ever heard the term, oh, I have a nervous stomach. And you ate something that's probably healthy, but you may have diarrhea. You may have a constipation going on. It's because when you are staying in this condition of fight or flight, which is where your sympathetic nervous system has been turned on, it's real easy to turn that on because it's fear-induced. If you keep doing that, if you keep allowing stressful environments to stimulate that aspect of your nervous system, what'll happen is it gets caught in a loop, and you stay in this loop where you have an elevated blood pressure, you have an elevated heart rate, you have elevated inhalation and breath. So you're constantly feeding yourself levels of toxicity that you're not able to burn off. If you feel anxious, if it starts off like that, and it hasn't released cortisol, and I'll tell you what that means and how you know when it's done that in a moment, but let me get through this part first. The first thing you do is look around where you're at and you tell yourself out loud, I am safe and there is no emergency. I'm absolutely safe in my own skin, comfortable, and I'm right where I need to be. There is no emergency. And I am just feeling the symptoms of an intrusive thought, and I am choosing not to be fearful. What your subconscious is going to hear, and it's going to draw from this is, oh, okay, this is just like anything else. It's a jump scare. So turn everything back to normal, and your parasympathetic nervous system, where you go back to normal relaxation, the normal functions of everyday life, where you can fall asleep if you sit still long enough, and you can digest your food if you eat something. That's the normal functions of your body when it's not in fight or flight. But what happens if that isn't enough? Well, that means you probably have adrenaline coursing through your body, so you have to find yourself a way to burn that off. The easiest way to do that is just simply take a walk. It doesn't need to be a fast-paced walk, just walk. But what happens if you work at a cubicle and you can't get up and just walk because that's going to draw attention to yourself? You're expected to be in your cubicle doing something, okay? Then you simply do body tension, where you try to flex all of your muscles at the same time, and you just squeeze that for as long as you can until fatigue. And you just relax. When you stop squeezing all your muscles, that means tightening your biceps, squeezing your fists, squeezing your thighs, squeezing your ass, like everything in your body. Squeeze your lats, your pecs, hold that tension up to 2 minutes. And then at the end of 2 minutes, slowly release everything. As slow as you can possibly do it. Slowly do it. The whole time you're taking relaxed breathing. Not trying to count anything, you're just doing relaxed breathing because your focus is going to be on the ability of holding your muscles tight. What that does, it blocks the intrusive thoughts. That means that you can't think about anything else except for the constant tension in your body. Your anxiety attack was triggered by a would-have thought. What if this happens? What if that happens? Nothing physically was there threatening you. It's just something that you thought about scary that you know deep down inside you have no control over, and that scared you, and you're afraid of the outcome being adverse to you. So you combat that by subduing your thought, replacing it with something positive. You're not going to get hurt by holding your muscles clenched up for 2 minutes. It's actually going to help your blood pressure lower down, and it's going to replace that intrusive thought or repeating loop of scary thinking and what if thinking to you constantly thinking about, okay, I'm keeping my lats tight, I'm squeezing my pecs, I'm squeezing my biceps, my forearm muscles are squeezing, I'm squeezing my fists as hard as I can, I'm squeezing my thighs, I'm squeezing my calves, I'm flexing everything. And it's a fatiguing thing. And that's how you burn the adrenaline off. It only takes a couple minutes. But there is a stage that goes past that where you stay in that fight or flight thought process in anxiety, and it turns into full-blown panic. A panic attack is when cortisol is released. That's your stress hormone. Your body releases this chemical in your body to compensate for high levels of stress. And when it's released in your bloodstream, it lays down cholesterol in your arteries. That's the way it protects the arteries because it's toxic. If you don't burn through it by running and fighting and doing what's been given to you as a superhuman characteristic, it's your mutant power. Everybody has this in ourselves. But if you don't use it appropriately, it's like that Lamborghini sitting in the garage with the engine running, and you got the gas pedal all the way to the floor. The engine's going to be screaming, but it's going nowhere. That's what a panic attack is. Your body's saying, let's go, let's do something, fight, or let's get the hell out of here. But you're sitting still, not knowing what's going on. And you're going to be in front of your charts, and you're going to have this happen one day. And as soon as you start feeling body symptoms, that's when you know you're at the early stages of full-blown panic. What does it feel like? You'll start feeling tingling in your face. When I would have it, it would always start with my left eyebrow towards the end, the edge of my face. It would start like a tingling that would go down that right underneath my left eye, and then go down to my upper lip and down into my chin. So naturally, what am I thinking? I'm having a stroke. I'm having a stroke. And I would get up. I'm in a trade. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? What am I doing here? And then I'm telling myself there's something scary. So what is that? I'm feeding it, right? So I have adrenaline coursing through my body. I have now cortisol releasing in my body. And now I'm feeling physical body symptoms. And it's scaring me. And I'm telling myself I'm having a stroke. So what do you think my brain's saying? Shit! We are having a stroke. We got to do something. What do? I don't know. But let's keep pumping all these chemicals because we have to fight or flight. You can't run from a stroke. You can't run from a heart attack. But I was feeding my brain something terrible is happening to me. Something terrible is about to happen to me. So you're feeding all that stuff. So as soon as you start feeling body symptoms, you might start seeing stars, like the little squiggly things that go around in your eyes. That's you ever watch a cartoon where Tom and Jerry would hit the cat over top of the head, and Tom would be like, oh shit, and he'd see little stars or little birds flying around as a cartoon analogy to seeing stars. If you turn your head real far to the right or left and hold it there, and then quickly turn it back, chances are you'll probably see stars because you're constricting the blood vessels inside your neck, and then you're quickly bringing it back to the front. You'll see stars. Or if you get dizzy, you feel like you're woozy or whatever. That's usually also a symptom when cortisol is released in your bloodstream. And that's an effect of you sitting still when you are in full-blown panic and you need to be doing something. Walk. Body tension. But you absolutely have to now, at this point, you have to start changing and regulating your breath. With adrenaline, it's just a time thing. It'll burn off. But when you start feeling body symptoms of, I feel like I'm going to be sick, I feel like I'm going to be passing out, I feel like I'm going to shit myself, I feel like I'm going to, die, basically. The way you capture that and subdue it is, again, say out loud that there is no emergency. I choose not to be afraid, and all I'm doing is responding, and my body's responding to a scary thought. There is no emergency. I'm safe where I'm at. I choose not to be afraid.